This is good for the podcast. Let's start because this is a good conversation to start with. And away we go. Hi everybody, my name's Mitchell.
I'm Brett.
And this is Real World Recovery.
Sure is.
Your one-stop shop for Mitchell whining about things he can't control. You're welcome for that.
I mean, sometimes.
So before we started, we were starting to have a conversation about, as you guys who have been following along will know that I have completed my taper and I am on day 2 of 0 oxycodone. And, I'm sick because, of course, I'm sick because that's what you do. And I've had some people be like, oh, well, you should just use kratom. And I'm like, or not, because, we're just flooding the same receptors with the same stuff. And,
Yep.
The conversation had gotten to the point where you had said,
yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off, man.
Yeah.
The only way out is through. That's some serious, addict thinking. There's got to be a shortcut, man.
Right.
There's got to be an easier way. There's not. There really isn't.
Doesn't it say, in the what is the NA program? We thought we could find an easier, softer way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really no shortcut, man.
And I want you guys to know that, and if you're watching this and you know who you are, that I appreciate that you care about me enough that you want it to be easier, and you are like, yeah, man, I know it sucks, and it does suck, but it's not as bad as when I quit a real habit,
right?
17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it right. I'm doing it responsibly, and as Brett is fond of pointing out, I'm going to be whiny either way.
But the thing is, the thing is though, it's not like the medication that you were prescribed was being taken in any other way than as prescribed.
No.
And so if you were abusing it, if you were taking it with the intent of I'm just going to get wasted and I'm going to let's just get blitzed and
I don't think I actually even took the 70 milligrams that I was prescribed.
You know what I'm saying though? If it would have been abused and if it would have been used with the intent of really getting wrecked, and
there was enough there to OD,
because then it would have been far worse.
Oh yeah. I would have ran out very quickly and then been real sick.
And then, it would have been oh crap!
Instead of it lasting 12 days.
Yeah. How do I now taper? How do I now not make this hell on earth? But instead, you take it as prescribed. You do the thing. You're not taking it recreationally or for fun. You're taking it because you had a medical condition and you're doing what the doctor told you to do. And you had a plan and you followed the plan. You stuck to the program, and
for once,
the intent the whole time was, I'm not going to be continuing to take this. I have a way to get off of this.
Right.
And the end was in sight and kept getting closer, and now you're there.
Yep. And as soon as I don't feel sick anymore, I'm going to start taking naltrexone.
The whole thing is,
I don't even know if I need to.
And the whole thing though is even feeling like crap during that, it's this is part of the plan.
It is. And I know that.
This is part of the plan.
Whine about it.
Yeah. But this is part of the plan. I knew I was going to feel like this. I knew I was going to feel like this.
From the moment
this was expected.
From the moment they set that IV and gave me Dilaudid, I knew I was going to get sick.
Yeah.
you know you're going to get sick.
Because you played the tape all the way to the end.
Yeah, because I've
seen this movie before.
I've had opiates in my arm before.
I've seen this movie before. I know how this ends.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing, though, is I know how this is gonna go. I'm prepared for it. I'm okay with that. We're gonna stick to the plan. Yep, it's gonna suck. Armor on. Put the helmet on.
It could have sucked
strap
so much
in.
Worse,
this
though.
is helmet on. This is going to be a bumpy ride, but guess what?
And that's what I keep reminding myself. I keep going, okay, now back in 2007, like you spent 4 days like in your bathroom on the floor.
Right.
Like a solid 4 days.
Yeah.
And it has been a long drawn out, always kind of feeling sick, but it has not been like that.
Right.
I haven't thrown up once. I haven't.
Right.
It's just been like, oh, now I'm eating sugar and junk food, which is against my ethics these days, but we can quit sugar again in a couple weeks.
That actually helps.
Yeah, I know, which is why I'm giving myself some grace.
It helps the body through that.
Yeah,
your body wants
it
to
produces some extra dopamine, and it makes it so it's not so bad. And I gave in this past week since I was here last, and I bought a pack of the cookies that I used to eat a pack of like every day.
Yep.
And I ate them over the course of 3 days. So I mean, I had a little bit of
Sure.
But as I was like carrying those up to the checkout machine, I was like, man, this is some addict shit right here. I'm like, you have not eaten sugar in almost a year, because it will be like April 10th that I quit eating, or when was the eclipse? April 8th last year?
I have no idea.
I think it was April 8th. So like the very next day I quit eating sugar and cold turkeyed sugar, and then stuck to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen my transformation.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild that I managed all this in a year.
Yeah, you used to be Italian.
It's true.
Oh!
I mean, and my mustache was so
very,
much
very much a stereotype. I apologize to any of my Italian friends out there. I'm terrible at doing an Italian impression. I'm better at doing
If I was actually
Walken.
Italian, my mustache should be a lot cooler than
I'm
it
better
is.
at doing a Christopher Walken.
You kind of were, yeah. And his accent is more like Yonkers, isn't it?
Christopher Walken is one of the few actors that literally just gets cast as himself.
Right.
They're like, get Christopher Walken to play Christopher Walken as this role.
Well, I mean, even Fatboy Slim had him do a music video.
Well, he used to be a Broadway dancer.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a perfect human.
He's amazing.
I don't know.
He's amazing.
I don't know about perfect human. But yes, he's a very talented individual.
Yeah.
Where was I?
Back when you were Italian.
Yeah. So back when I was Italian, I ate cookies all the time, and so I was like, man, this is some addict shit. I'm like, okay, so you're doing good, like, and then I'm like, okay, you've relapsed on sugar a little bit here, but like it has been helpful, and it doesn't act on opiate receptors,
right?
I mean, it acts on your ATP receptors,
True.
which could be just as dangerous.
Which is basically like nicotine and cocaine.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like the way your brain interacts with sugar is almost identical to cocaine.
Yeah. Nicotine and sugar are the only other two things that really like hit it.
What'd you say about nicotine?
Yeah, yeah. Which is why those are the only ones that like make you want to keep getting more and more and more and more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in nicotine, I used to smoke a pack and a half of American Spirit a day.
Yellows, baby.
I was Yellows forever, but then like when I got all my friends like all of a sudden were smoking Newports. And so I was like, I was kind of digging it.
I couldn't.
But I'm like
every once in a while.
I'm like, I'm gonna just get like some Spirit menthol. And then and so I got the Spirit menthol because back then they were menthol, and so I got some Spirit menthol lights, and I was like, because when I changed from Spirit yellow to Spirit like light green, they were still Spirit lights and Spirit menthol light.
Back when they still used the word light.
Yeah, back when you could name your cigarettes.
Yeah. Spirit Jennifers.
So yeah, perfect. If you're out there, Jenny. I doubt she'll ever watch any of this
Speaking of sugar, though, it reminds me of the Mitch Hedberg joke. When he's like, when you take those, questions for like, background checks, they always try to trip you up with those poorly worded questions. Mm-hmm. They're like, have you ever tried PCP or sugar?
Yes to both. PCP is wild.
He missed his
I don't
era,
know.
man.
I
He
don't-
would have been great on TikTok or YouTube Shorts.
I mean,
he could never put together like a full special because all he had were those like little like
oh, he was so good at one-liners.
Like, just
him and Stephen Wright were like
disconnected,
so,
like little like thoughts.
so good at that.
Just like George Carlin's book title, Brain Droppings. Like that's what I think of when I think of like all of Mitch Hedberg's material. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like just out of nowhere, just like, and then this.
yeah. I mean, of course. Stephen Wright was talking about how he wrote one-line jokes like that, and he was like, I would sit on like a park bench, and I would see a guy across from me like eating a sandwich, and then I'd be like, what about this situation could be absurd?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, I would find the most absurd thing I could think of, and then all of a sudden I have a joke.
Yeah.
And he's like, obviously you have to refine it a bit, but
Yeah.
I can't remember what the
My favorite joke
was
of
for
his was just he said, I would kill for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. So I saw him live in 1999, 98,
Yeah.
long time ago. I was still in high school, and he comes out with a guitar, and he sits down, and the stage lights are on him,
Yeah.
and so he like has the guitar, and as he moves around, it reflects the stage lights onto people in the crowd, and he picks it up, he looks down, and he goes, "That's funny. It didn't do that when I bought it."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Classic. That was such a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, he was him and Mitch Hedberg were like that kind of
The one-liners.
disjointed, like sporadic comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Sorry. No, I don't. So we were talking about sugar.
Yeah. Or PCP.
Did I send you? Did I send you the squirrel meme?
Yeah. That was in our
I put that in the group chat. That's right. Yeah. I would take that and then post it in the video right now. Do you know how to do that when you're editing?
I mean, probably.
It's pretty easy. You just put the JPEG in there and then flip to it for 5 frames.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're welcome. I'll put it in the Discord too. Because of the ADHD that occurs when your dopamine is wildly off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a real ever since the 4 days on the 5 milligrams. So I tried taking it in the morning because I would wake up feeling sick, and that didn't really work because by the end of the day I was feeling sick. So the last 2 days I took it in the middle of the day, which is helpful, but I've noticed my bipolar coming out like more than usual. And I mean, I know that it's my brain chemicals re-regulating themselves, but it's been the feeling like crap is one thing, but I mean, you saw me yesterday. I went from I need to go home and lay on my couch, and it wasn't even because I felt sick. I just felt off.
Yeah.
And it's like earlier today, I went over to the west side and I was at the car shop where I go. And I used to work with all those guys. So it's like we all know each other. It's like hanging out, when I'm there when they're not super busy. And, we're all joking around. And then by the time I was back on our side of town, or my side of town, I was like, I have to lay down.
Mm-hmm. I
can't do this. And then I woke up and I was feeling pretty good. And I knew you had your thing, but I was like, well, I'm going to see what you're up to. And then, so we could do this. And then I left the vape shop and I was like, I want to die. And I know it's all fleeting. But that's like the part that I think once you've been in long-term recovery and you have your mental illness pretty well regulated, whether it be through medications. Well, for me, I mean, I'm not even medicated anymore. It's funny to see it for what it is. You know what I mean? And it's like when I was, using like ketamine and cocaine every day
Yeah.
and feeling like this.
Yeah.
holy crap, like no wonder I was the way I was.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just interesting, all of the reminders that I'm getting about how far I've really come. I think that's
Yeah.
and honestly, I felt off until we started conversating. And as soon as we started interacting, it just came right back.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how it was last night. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sure I'll leave here and start crying. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's the way it goes sometimes, you know? Like,
it's the way she goes.
Yeah. Yep. It is. It is.
So that dude at the gas station complimenting my mustache was pretty... I mean, I know that you guys all made fun of me for that last night when I was like, hell yeah. And so I went to Facebook and I'm like, that made every moment that I had lived up until that point worth it. Which it didn't, but I mean, I don't know. It's so weird because like I dress and act and try to maintain a look that says, look at me. But then I don't really want anyone to talk to me, which is really weird, isn't it? I've been thinking about that lately.
I don't know that it's like that weird. Like I feel like that's more common than not with a lot of people. Like I think you see that a lot with folks is the louder people's attire. More often than not, they're usually the folks that, at least in my experience, are the people that they want that to do the talking for them. Like they want they want that to be the statement. They want that to be the expression.
Interesting. Maybe that is it.
Like the you know, that's the statement. That's the
right.
You know, this should say enough.
Right.
Like at least that's been my experience. I think a lot of times is you know, a lot of times the more introverted people tend to have the more expressive attire.
You know, I've wondered about introversion because I have come off as an extrovert my entire life. I've always been boisterous, class clown, whatever, like, you know, the hey, how you doing guy, talk to strangers in the line at the movie theater. But the longer I'm clean, the more reserved I am. And I wonder if I was using extroversion as a defense mechanism from having to get to know myself.
I mean, maybe.
You know?
I think there's maybe some truth to that for me as well.
Because if you're talking to other people, you don't have to be alone with your own head.
I was definitely like always more comfortable around other people when I was using.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But I don't know that I think that like the Myers-Briggs test was always fed inaccurate data when I took it because I was using. Like, so I don't know that I ever like gave it correct inputs. So like I don't know if I ever got the correct outputs when it told me I was an extrovert, right? Like,
I'm gonna go and just tell you I don't know what that test is.
It's the like, you know, tells you.
Is that the INFJ or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means. So I've never taken it.
Tells you like introvert, whether you're thinking or feeling or, you know, rationalizing or whatever.
So it's horoscopes for scientists.
I mean, it gives you basically like 4 kind of spectrums of and where you fall on the 4 different sliders, basically, ranging from one end to the other, and you know how far in one direction or the other you are in all 4 categories. And you know, a lot of times it's used in professional settings to say like, okay, you know, if you're working in a team, like to better understand group dynamics, right? Like how,
Sure.
Different team members are going to work better or not with each other. And, and
Yeah.
it's helpful, but, it's not the end all be all of like, here's your exact picture of who you are, but it does give some insight as to
Yeah.
a better idea of like how I present and how I can best,
It is kind of funny last weekend where Matt's like, "You're a Leo, aren't you?" And I was like, "I am," but
I mean,
I don't know.
He had a 1 in 12 chance.
It's fair.
Like,
It's fair.
it's like that. Like when I said your birthday was on a Tuesday, I was like,
Which is hilarious. I
One
like
in- I like 1 in
how
7 chance of being
I like
right.
how immediately Stephanie figured it out.
but it's like, I mean, that's 1 in 7 chance, man. That's not that bad. Like,
I don't understand why anybody would want to know what my birthday is. Like, aren't we too old for birthdays? I don't know.
I get one a year. That's plenty.
But I guess I've never really cared about my birthday.
The last one I gave a crap about was when I turned 21.
Yeah, same.
And it wasn't even because I could drink. It was because then, like, I could,
Yeah, I could gamble.
yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I was already drinking.
yeah, it was because I could go to Vegas.
Like now,
and get into the casinos.
now I can go. Yeah, I can go to the casino.
Like, that was.
It's kind of, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've never been to Vegas. I don't feel like I've missed.
I was
much.
gonna care about 23, I think it was, for renting or 25 or whatever.
25 for a car.
But
Yeah.
I'd lost
Yeah.
my license by that point, so I was
Same here.
like, well, that's out the
Yeah,
window.
doesn't matter.
And then 27 was the next one that I was gonna care about, but
I mean, 27 was like, oh, who's gonna die? And a bunch of us did,
yeah,
but not me.
yeah,
And so my insight on the 27 thing is that's when you start to see life for what it really is.
yeah,
And that's where you either sober up, get your shit together, get a move on with whatever it is, or you give way to the despair.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you and I are probably good examples of giving way to the despair and just letting the alcohol and everything that comes with it just consume everything.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a lot of survivor's guilt.
Oh yeah.
Like, by that time, by that point, I'd lost a lot of people. There were a lot of people I cared about that had
Yeah.
OD'd or
Went to prison for the rest of their lives
or taken their own lives or whatever. And it was like, well, what makes me so special, right? And so there was a lot of that, and it's like that self-centeredness is like still right there staring me in the face, and I didn't see it. It's like, man, but then
I do.
down the road, it's like, okay, well, we can address that and move through that. But it's interesting that you bring it up like that, though, because there's a quote, I forget who it was. I think it might be Thich Nhat Hanh, it's either him or it was Confucius, I think. But he said everybody has 2 lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have one.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, that puts me on my third, but
but yeah, I mean it's it's very true. It's like once you realize, hey, this is the only one I got.
Yep.
And you start actually living that way. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting journey because I don't think that had it not been for all of the stuff previous, like I don't feel like I would have the appreciation that I do for anything that I've got now. Like I wouldn't trade any of it. Like
I agree.
I can relate 100% to Seneca when he talks about feeling bad for people who have never faced any kind of hardships because they have no idea what they're made of. Like they have absolutely no idea what they're capable of, no idea what they're made of, and I can relate to that fully. Like I truly feel bad for those people that have been handed everything because they have no idea. Like,
I mean, they're just as sad as everybody else. They just don't know why.
If not worse. Like like they're just
they're just sad to be sad.
And like never been challenged, never like had any opportunity to live up to anything.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Or go through anything, be put to any test. So, yeah, that's...
Speaking of challenges, you excited for Monday?
I am. Yeah, I think it'll be good. It's... I'm already, familiar with all the people I'll be working with and familiar with the place. So, I think it'll be a pretty easy transition.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I did the initial paperwork and stuff, and this time, since it's not just a 3-4 week gig,
mm-hmm.
they had me do a authorization to do a background check and stuff, right? And I get a phone call from the HR lady at the staffing company that placed me in the job. And she goes, well, I think you know why I am calling, back in 2016 from the last DUI. I'm like, yeah. she's like, that's nothing since? I'm like, nope. She's like, okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure. I don't think it's going to be a problem or anything. I'm like, okay. She's like, no issues or anything. No worries about if they need you to. I'm like, yeah, man, we're good to go. But it's interesting that that's not a scary call.
Yeah. When I had the background check for working at treatment, they're like, oh, you had some fun in 2005, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it had only been 18 at that point, but still, it's been a while. And, I had 2 other arrests, but is disturbing the peace even really an arrest?
Yeah. I mean, what a funny name for a thing. Who's really at peace?
Well, I don't know if we've had this conversation on the podcast before, but I feel like we've had the conversation where it's the disturbing the peace is the Midwestern American
Yeah.
catch-all. It's
don't you need to prove damage?
Weren't you
find me the person who was at peace that I disturbed.
Well, I know, and they're it's a really easy way for them to force you to spend the night in jail, and then 8 hours later, when you sober up, kick you out the door, fine you $150, and send you on your way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true.
I mean, really to be fair, in every single one of those arrests, I was being disruptive.
Absolutely.
100%. But
I'm not saying I was doing nothing wrong. I'm just saying that's a funny name for a ticket.
It's ridiculous. Well, I had a lawyer when I was much younger who was really good at getting more serious crimes dropped down to disturbing the peace for me.
That's basically lawyering.
Yeah, which is perfect. But it was kind of funny when I was getting the last time I got sentenced on that, which I think 2011.
Yeah.
So even that's been almost 15 years. The judge is like, Mr. Braddock, this is your 10th disturbing the peace in the last 15 years. And I'm like, that's it?
Do I get a prize?
I'm sorry, you're sending me to jail, or
so this one's free
on here?
Oh, shoot, I forgot my punch card.
I should have a disturbing the peace punch card. I should make one, laminate it.
Man, there's so many good comebacks to that.
Oh,
There's so many good ones.
I mean, I hope to never be in front of a judge again for anything besides, custody.
Yeah, the only time I want to be back in front of a judge is either A, to like get married, B, to like do something with a, filing for a business, something or other.
I mean, you won't be in front of a judge for any of that.
I know.
You'll be in front of a magistrate.
I mean, I'll probably still call him Your Honor, but just, Your Eminence.
You do you, homie.
Magistrate, that just sounds like royalty, so,
I've always wanted to be super disrespectful in the courtroom, and I've only done it once. Okay,
I would 100% be if I had like the Esquire after my name. If I like got through law school and passed the bar, like
I mean, just do it anyway.
I should never be a lawyer.
Get one of those like fake land ownership things from Ireland or Scotland or whatever, and then like that gives you the right to put that behind your name because you're a lord or whatever. I mean, you have no right, it doesn't do anything besides a piece of paper, but I mean, it'd still be funny because you could legally do it. But anyway, so when I had that big screw up in 2005, when I was in getting arraigned after turning myself in after all that time, my lawyer was like, bring as much cash with you as you can. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, I cashed out my 401k and I brought like almost $10,000 in cash.
Yeah.
And so the judge sets the bond at $75,000 in cash. And I'm like, oh, okay. And of course you have to put down 10%. And he's like, you got that kind of money on you today, Mr. Braddock? I'm like, oh, as a matter of fact. And I walked up to the bench and I started counting hundreds onto the bench, looking him right in the eye. And he's like, bailiff, please take this man to the cashier before I hold him in contempt. But me and that judge had a little bit of history at that point, and it was, and I knew I was basically getting away with what I was getting. Like I already knew that I was getting away with what I had done, and
there was not much he could do at that point.
No, and I love that moment of my life.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't dare do that as an actual adult. I was like 22, 23.
Yeah.
I like now I can't imagine doing that now.
No.
Holy crap. Ugh. Man. The world has changed so much in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but I mean more so I think, we have.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't know, I think judges have too, but maybe not. Maybe it's the same.
Not as much as you'd think, I don't think.
Yeah, it's probably the same group of power-hungry, spoiled brats as it was back then.
Not at the level that we deal with. Like,
I don't know, man. The audacity of that dude one time to be like on tether and then sentence me to 93 days while he's on tether for his third DUI and I'm on my first. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, brah, for real though?
Yeah. I mean, he's still got a job to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
like he's still got to uphold the letter of the law. Like,
I mean, I got arrested under the legal limit, but it was 2 days after Michigan passed the zero tolerance under 21 law. So they threw the absolute book at me and maxed me on both fines and time to make an example of me. But it was like, I mean, I had been in front of him for so many other charges.
And I'm sure that like because he was
a real fan of me.
Well, and I'm sure that because he was on that, he didn't have a whole lot of like.
Oh, well, he's got to show that, yeah.
Right. I'm sure he didn't have a whole lot of favor with his bosses to like have any wiggle room with anybody.
Who's his boss? He's an elected judge. The people?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Like anybody else, like I'm sure he could get recalled. I'm sure he could get like, booted from office if, like he's probably on thin ice with, anybody that wanted to kick him out of that seat, whatever the opposing party was that wanted to
that dude.
replace him.
I bet that dude is still on the bench there.
Maybe, but because they're
doesn't matter.
because they're good at playing politics.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, it brought me joy to do that to his face.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. And he got to sentence me to 17 days, but considering the crime I had committed, that's the look of disdain.
Yeah. Well,
just the sheer, I cannot believe that your attorney worked this deal out for you, you punk ass kid.
Yeah. It's why you get a good attorney, kids.
Yeah, always hire an attorney.
Yep, they're
and remember, if the police start asking you questions, they can talk to your attorney, and you don't actually have to have an attorney to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, they're not going to try to talk to your attorney anyway. So
yeah,
yeah.
Your best bet: don't do anything that's going to require you to get an attorney. But
I mean, nowadays,
push comes to shove. Yeah.
The world's starting to look a little weird out there. So
yeah, push comes to shove. If a cop's talking to you, you just tell them, talk to my attorney.
Yep.
No comment. Talk to my attorney.
Yep. I have taught my children not to talk to the police. Mostly because my oldest daughter caught herself a charge by talking to the police, thinking that if she was just honest, that, they were going to not do anything about it. And I'm like, what did we learn? What did we learn? Your dad does not have money for you to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So
yep.
The next time the cops want to ask you questions, what do you say?
Yep.
Talk to my attorney.
Am I being detained?
Am I being detained?
Am I free to go?
Yeah. Oh, man. I had an experience with that as well, also being a drunk POS. One night, I was asleep in a vehicle, which you probably shouldn't be.
Keys in the ignition?
Oh, yeah, I was running. Mm-hmm. Lovely. But in the state of Michigan, you can be on your property in your vehicle with it running under the influence, because Michigan still has pretty good personal freedom laws.
Yeah.
But the police department didn't care.
Of course.
And so, I wake up to them ripping me out of the vehicle, and I just kept saying, am I being detained? Am I under arrest? And they kicked the shit out of me. And it's funny, he gets me on the back of the back seat of the squad car, and I'm like, bro, for the last time, am I under arrest? And he's like, yeah, now you're gonna tell us how much you had to drink? He's like, how about you follow my finger? And I'm like, how about you follow mine? And he kicked me straight in the chest into the back of the squad car. Oh man, watching that chest cam video was pretty, the look on the DA's face. I got out of that one too, because I had a very good attorney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew that in the state of Michigan, you can be drunk on your own property in a vehicle. Yep. Now, should I have been? Have I ever been again? No. But because I had a good lawyer who knew the law, I did not cop my third DUI and go to prison.
Right.
Because the average person on the street isn't going to know that that's the law in Michigan.
Right.
I will be honest, I didn't know that either. I thought I was going to prison. But so anyway, but yeah, still got out of it. Yeah. But it was totally worth it to do that to the police, because if you're going to go to jail anyway, and you're going to jail, you're under arrest, as long as you're not resisting,
right?
Fuck with them. Who cares? Like, what are they going to do? Just don't resist. And hope their body cams are on.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean...
And he's like, you going to do a breathalyzer? I'm like, not without my attorney present.
Yeah.
Oh man, then when they got the warrant for my blood, because I made him get a warrant.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
Yep.
I was like in the cell, they like come in like 8 officers deep with the strap-in chair, and they're like, oh, it was great. And I'm like strapped in. Put the warrant on the glass. And of course, they can't keep you after 8 hours on suspected unless you blow. And so I never breathalyzed. And then I was sitting on the bench, and the like turnkey up there at the counter kept being like, if you blow right now, I can let you go. And I'm like, does that work? He's like, you'd be surprised. Darn. I'm like, yeah, you almost got me there, brother.
Oh, so close. Man.
As soon as you breathalyze, no matter what state, you've given away all of your rights.
Yep.
Do not breathalyze.
Yep.
It's not admissible in court.
Right.
Only blood work is.
Yep.
But what it does allow them to do is retain you until you post bond on whatever your charge is. Whereas if they cannot prove that you were driving under the influence as a suspected, they have to give you a PR bond and release you after 8 hours in every single state in this country. And then you go get a really good lawyer.
Yep.
Or, since you're watching this, you're probably sober. Don't drink and drive ever again.
Right. Yeah.
Just keep staying sober.
That's the best advice. That's 100% the best advice.
Oh, it's a recovery podcast, and I'm giving legal advice for drinking and driving.
I mean,
I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. Get a lawyer and ask them for legal advice.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But
I kind of love it when it gets off the rails, though.
I sometimes wonder where the rails are.
I don't know if there are any anymore. We used to come in, there'd be a plan. I remember you'd have printed out bullet points.
Remember that?
You're like, man, we should hit all these topics. And we were so like, yeah, man, this week we're going to talk about this. Now we come in here and we just bloviate to no end.
Like, how was your week? Oh, my God. But you know what? That's it. It's real. Like,
yeah, and that was always the point of this.
Yeah.
To be real.
Yeah, and I mean, the other stuff was real too, but it's like, you know what? Like, this is just how we talk anyway. So it's like, what?
We still make good points, and we're talking about recovery and how it affects us.
Like, who are we kidding? Like, we don't need reminders. Like, we.
Last night it was so funny when a girl like realized that the dynamic between her and her friend was the same dynamic between you and I.
Yeah.
When she was sharing, and it was like almost identical to the story you told about your situation like some months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
I wanted so bad to just like jump up and be like, oh my God, you're the same person.
I mean,
but not really.
Well,
but obviously different people, but like dealing with the same kind of emotional like roller coaster. Like, now it makes sense.
Welcome to being on the spectrum.
Which my point is, she was texting me a lot last night, and she has feelings about it, and as you would. Like when I found out that they were like, you're bipolar too, buddy. This whole manic depressive thing is a little more severe. Like you can disconnect when you're manic. Yeah. Which I guess I always knew, but like it's one of those things where, I told her, I'm like, what does it change now? You know something that you've always kind of known, right? I mean, like it doesn't change anything about you. All you can do is keep working on yourself and recognize that when these things that you don't understand about yourself start happening, now you can kind of understand why. Yeah.
Yeah, all it does is give you a little bit more perspective, and it gives you the ability to get there a little quicker. Mm-hmm. Like that's really what it does. Is it helps you kind of frame it a little bit easier, and then that's it. Then you can start to a little bit quicker, kind of adjust that perspective and say, what if I first look at it from this lens?
Right.
That's it.
Well, I mean, having the diagnosis that I have, it's really good to have that PRN on hand because, like, I can recognize the signs of when it might get out of control.
Yeah.
And so having that understanding and having that medication to just put it down so that I don't, end up hospitalized or drinking again or whatever it be, it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
And I used to resent it. You know what I mean? I used to be like, well, that's dumb. Like, why do I got to be like this? But it's like,
but then
now you learn.
Eventually you'll get to the point where like you realize the futility in that.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I realized it pretty quick after I'd been sober for about a year, and I'm like, oh, this is so much more manageable when I don't drink vodka.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is the futility in even like asking that question, like,
right?
Like that. It is. This is how it is. Like, why has it got to be this way? Well, it is.
Like, I don't think she was asking, but like, why has it got to be that way?
I'm not saying about her. I'm just saying, like, in general. Like,
yeah.
Way.
I was feeling that way.
Having that feeling, it's futility. Like, I am this way.
Yeah.
Wondering why I'm this way, or like feeling a way about being this way. Like, like, why waste my energy like wondering or like, well, that's unfair.
Right.
Okay. That doesn't change it.
Sure doesn't.
So
no, and like I said, like having the knowledge and knowing what the steps are to control it or mitigate it or nip it in the bud or whatever. I mean, it's harder on the low end of my spectrum. It's like, okay, just go sleep for 2 days. But like, it's funny. That's actually the answer to both sides of the.
Yeah. Well, and there was another quote, believe it or not. General McMaster's, I believe it was, but
who's that? It sounds familiar, but World War One.
No, he was the guy that did the commencement speech that was famous for if you want to change the world, start by making your bed.
Oh, yeah, that's how I know what it is. Yeah, because you have to see that 8 times in the 3 months that you're at.
Yeah,
in treatment.
He also he also has a. I'm pretty sure it's him, but I'm almost positive. But and I could be wrong, but
it doesn't matter.
Anyway, he said something to the effect of cynicism is cowardice.
Oh fuck, I'm a coward.
Being a cynic, like. Having that defeatist attitude is cowardice, which I agree with, because, like, saying, "Oh well, fuck, like, might as well give up, might as well not even try." Like, yeah, like that is coward. Like, you're giving up. Like,
I look at. I mean, it depends on how you're wielding your cynicism.
So. Cynicism in that sense of like, well, it's never going to get any better. I'm just going to give up. Like, yeah, you're giving up. You're like, I'm not saying you have to be like sunshine, rainbows, yeehaw, yes, everything's great. But like, yes, things are bad. Things are 80% bad, 90% bad. This is all fucked. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be. How can I make it better? What can I do? Right? Like, even if it's something tiny, right? Like, there's got to be something, because otherwise, why go on? Why, right?
Yeah.
What's the point otherwise?
I get to that spot on the roller coaster.
So.
Why go on?
But truly, though, like, you still go to school.
I do.
So you must believe in something.
You
must believe that you can contribute something.
I have hope.
There you go.
Yeah.
So like, that's the point, is even if there's only 1%, like, you're not truly a cynic then. Because
No, I just have a shitty attitude all the time.
that might be what you're trying to tell yourself, but I don't think you really believe that 100%.
I don't.
And
you would tell me.
I mean, I think that's like the persona you want to try to put out there because you don't quite 100% feel comfortable with like always wanting to like put out what you feel is false positivity. And I get that too, because I think that overblown false positivity is equally toxic.
100%. I've tried that.
Like
I've lived that way.
I see through that bullshit too.
I was a candy kid.
Like, I see through that bullshit too. Like, you know, like we see them at meetings, we see them at at conventions, we see them all over the place. Like, I equally have disdain for that.
Yeah,
because that's disingenuous as well. Like, you have to acknowledge the bad just as much as you have to acknowledge the good. Like, nothing's 100% either way.
It's true.
So, like, I'm fully on board with, like, the realism of it. Like, yes, there's some broken stuff
going on. Yeah,
there's some broken stuff. There's a lot of it. But it wasn't always that way, and it doesn't have to stay that way.
It doesn't.
And so, like, that's the point. Like, and that's why I like that quote. Like, cynicism is cowardice. And I love that because it's giving up any hope. It's giving up any attempt at making anything better. It's completely like...
So I think I'm gonna follow up my cynical remarks with something I'm not gonna say on camera. Just because it doesn't need to be on camera. But anyway, it's in my head.
All right.
And the next time, because there's this dude in my my math class, because it's late at night basically for college.
Yeah.
5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's late. He's like, what did he say to me last Wednesday? He's like, bro, does it hurt being so cynical? Like, do you like feel that? Does it make you sad? And I'm like, damn, kinda.
Well,
but like, yeah, now when I'm like going off about things, because like I feel like I'm in a room full of adults there. Everybody's like in their late 20s, early 30s. So like, it's not like my other classes where I'm surrounded by 19, 20-year-olds, you know, like I'm with peers in that class. So I'm I'm gonna change the MO a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, I tend to be more cynical with them because like they are old enough to see.
They've been around long enough to relate a little bit.
They are old enough to see with their own eyes.
Yeah.
Whereas like in some of my classes, I'm like, you guys realize you guys are the ones who have to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, but if you don't, literally no one will.
Yeah.
And hey, if they start doing the work, I'm more than happy to help.
Man, the kids are all right.
I've heard.
The kids are all right.
I've heard. What a song. What was the other thing I was thinking about when you were talking about cynicism? Oh yeah, the other thing, totally off topic, but kind of not, because like like NA personalities, like so like last night my hat fell off while I was sharing.
Yeah.
And I put it on and then immediately like went like this with it, and then I realized that I am the dude from the NA meme. I'm like literally NA dude meme in real life. What do you guys think? All I needed was a shirt that said NA on it, or my hat was like live free or whatever,
or it had the like diamond.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, I had like, so I was wearing that green shirt, which I think that's the first time I've worn that in public, where it's like sunglasses and a little smiley face, right?
Shirt.
I know it's great. I have not been skinny enough to wear it until this point in my life. I looked very, very fat in it previously. I do not anymore, and I'm grateful for that. But I get out of the car and I'm wearing my sunglasses and I put a smirk on my face and I look down at old girl and I'm like, "Do you like how I match my shirt?"
Bro, you'll be proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a meme that I really liked the other day.
Oh,
and I thought
my beating heart.
I was like, I thought of you right away because I was like, you've probably already seen it, but I'm gonna tell you about it anyway. It's the two frame vertical meme that on the top it's the two people texting each other in bed.
Okay, yeah, and the girl's like laying with the pillow or whatever.
Yeah, they're both like laying on their stomachs.
Yeah.
And the girl, it just says, "You up?" And the guy texts back, "We're gonna bomb Yemen."
Ah, yes, yes, I have seen that one. Which is, it's a thing that happened. It's a thing that happened in real life.
I thought there should have been a third frame at the bottom. That was just fist bump American flag fire.
I have seen a couple with some extra frames. There have been a number of good ones, but I am doing my best to avoid political memes at this stage of the game.
I was like, that's because that meme itself it can be pretty much anything, but I was like, that's pretty fantastic right there.
I have a couple of ones that actually you might think are funny. This one perfectly describes me at this point in my life. I will post this one to the Discord as well, and I will send it to Brett if he wants to. If he wants to put it in, you guys can share in that joke.
That's good stuff.
But I'll just tell you what it is. But again, I'll send it to you so you can put it you can splice it into the video. It's the dude with the beard and the curled up mustache, and he's like, maybe if I join a gym and start working out, I'll be happy. And then he shows him all buff, and it's like, nope, that wasn't it. And it's like exactly like how I felt like right before the pancreatitis was like, I'm in like the best shape of my adult life.
Yeah.
I'm like going to school. I'm like enjoying things and I'm still not happy. And I'm like, bam, pancreatitis. And I'm like, yeah, there it is. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it turns out it was pancreatitis. There's another.
Did you know that the other shoe to drop?
This one's also a recovery. There's also. What's that?
Did you know that phrase comes from when the Irish immigrants first came to America, when they were living in like boarding houses? The walls were the floors were so thin that because they were living like down in the basements that they'd wait for like the landlords to come home, and they could hear the other shoe drop when the landlord would take their shoes off. That's where that came from.
So what were they waiting for?
The other shoe to drop, literally.
But for what?
Like
why did things get bad when the other shoe dropped?
They knew then that the landlord was home and like had his shoes off, so that they
had to be quiet.
They were done with work, basically. Like,
oh, okay, weird.
Anyway. Or whatever, I don't know, but like that's where it came from.
I see.
Yeah, the nickel for every time that's applied to people I know.
Like literally. Anyway, I should pass that one around every single time we're in.
I mean, that should just be in the reading materials.
Should. Rehab romance. Anyway, it's the Batman and Robin meme with Batman slapping Robin, and Robin's saying, "I think I love her," and Batman's like, "She's only got 3 weeks clean."
Yeah.
But again, I'll send you that. You can splice it in. It'll be a good learning experience for you.
Yeah. We'll see.
Or don't.
We'll see.
Do you want me to
I'll splice it into the audio.
You don't have to. I mean, you could post them with the audio.
Biff, pow, whack. Zap.
Yes. Yes, I'm
that
so
stuff's
here
got to
for
be
that.
public domain by now, right?
It has to be.
The original Adam West.
Maybe.
That was a show, man.
I wonder.
that
I
was the good
wonder
stuff.
if that is
Ricardo
I wonder if that's
Montalban
included
was
in some
the original
IP.
Joker, wasn't it? Ricardo Montalban.
I don't know
I
his
think that was
name,
his
but he was really good at it.
Ricardo Montalban. I
That
think
show
his name.
was so weird.
Yeah.
Like weird.
It was like the comic strip brought to life. That's what it felt like. Guess who I ran into today? Tom Farley.
You said that, yeah.
Yeah, I ran into him on my last ever volunteer day at the inpatient place. I'll be on their social media. I took some photos with the cake they got for me and cupcakes and stuff. So
How long were you doing that?
like 3 years. I started doing it when I got a year clean.
That's some dedication, man.
Yeah, pretty much every Friday.
Yeah. I mean, I regret the way it ended, but I was overworking there.
Yeah, you were. You were.
I was 100%. I had no support.
Yeah, they didn't have enough staff while you were there, and but I mean,
Hey, here we are. I'm doing all right.
things happen the way they happen for the reasons they needed to happen. So,
It didn't need to happen the way it happened for a reason, but
well, what I mean is it got you where you're at.
yeah,
So-
I'm not. I mean, I'm again salty about how it went down. I'm not mad that I don't work there.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Let me be clear.
I know. But yeah, no, it was a good run. I'm glad I did it. But like I told the clients there, I'm like, look, like I did this just as much for me as I did for anybody else. Like it's, and I recommended that, and I say this to anybody in recovery, new and with years, like be in service, whatever that looks like, get involved. Because
I mean, that's why I do Tellurian.
yeah, get involved with any kind of whatever that looks like. Get involved with some kind of service. Be involved in the recovery community because it keeps you engaged. It keeps you connected, and that's what has been the biggest thing for me for my recovery.
I had a moment of real emotion. I haven't thought about how my relationship with Oxford House sometimes comes off as a given. I get very frustrated with it because I know the way it works, which is the houses are autonomous until it affects Oxford as a whole. La 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 la.
Yep.
You're meant to guide, not instruct, and I have gotten very good at that over the years. They are kind of in a situation where they're leaning very hard on me, and I get a little resentful of that. But then I was explaining what was going on because I'm here in Dane County, I'm on the Sober Living Coalition board as a representative for Oxford. And, I'm explaining to them what's going on with one of the houses and how the people in it just aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the landlord's over it, and that's fair enough. Yeah. And so, I'm talking about this to the other people who run the other sober livings here and the director of safe communities here, and I'm like, I start tearing up. I'm like, it really sucks that I haven't lived in an Oxford house in 3 years, and I'm the only one in the city who seems to give a shit about it.
Yeah.
And it really, really sucks. Everybody else is just being addicts doing addict shit. Yeah. And it's just because you aren't using doesn't mean you aren't acting like an addict.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just okay. And it sucked, and I teared up, and I was like, it's just sometimes it's really hard. And everybody in the room went, yeah, no, we feel that with our souls. And it was really nice to have that support from, the other people who, work really hard to try to help people who are many times super ungrateful.
Yeah. Well, and
and
I think that, it's important to highlight that because in the interview I was doing with my friend Caroline, she was talking about down where she lives, there is 0 sober living options for women down there. There's none. And so when women go into treatment and they get done with their inpatient treatment,
They're just sent right back to live with that abusive
right
boyfriend.
back to wherever they were at.
Yeah.
Right back into the mess.
Yep.
And that's a problem. And
It is a big problem.
and
And that's a problem here, too.
and that's what that could turn into if, like that, if you don't have an image put out to the public that doesn't understand.
Yeah. Well, and I try to explain that to some people, and they're just like...
That, like...
They're like, oh, well, I mean, I'm paying my EES. I go to meetings. Like, that's not always enough.
Right. Like, that's
it's
baseline.
Yeah. Like, you're doing the very bare minimum.
Right. That's, like...
literally.
That's, like, getting a gold star for, like, showing up.
Yeah.
Like, that's a participation trophy.
Yeah, you're on your third job in a year.
Right.
And, I don't know. And, then...
That's like expecting a trophy for showing up at work.
I looked at the guys who live in that house, and I'm like, you guys are losing your house. And he's like, oh, I'm going to talk to the landlord. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll rent to you directly, but he's not going to keep it in an Oxford house. Right. So good luck with that.
Right. And I guarantee he's not going to rent to you directly because he
knows you're because he doesn't want to continue the charter because of the way you are behaving.
Right. You currently are in the house that's part of the problem.
Yeah. And I looked right at him. I'm like, you guys have probably already blown this.
Right.
Like, you would have to have that house perfect and paying all of its bills. You've eaten up almost all. That house had like $12,000 in the bank. They have like $5,000 now.
Right.
And so, yeah, they've been paying rent out of the savings account. They've all been screwing around, and I can't save people from themselves. Right. You know?
That
and the thing about it is that like we need more beds in the community because there are people out there who desperately need a chance to do something different.
Right. And
it's frustrating to see, people just get comfortable and abuse it.
Yeah.
They're not dude, I only lived in sober living for 7 months.
Right. Yep.
7 months.
Yeah.
And in fact, the last month that I technically lived at the house, I didn't. I was living at my mom's with my children for the summer and was paying rent and going back to drop when my number came up, you know?
Yep.
I stayed on a chapter chair. I'm still working with it. And I only lived there half a year. You've been in this program for 3 years and you've done nothing but get comfortable and start wasting everybody else's time. And now we're going to lose a house because of your behavior.
Yep.
Can you sense my rage starting to come up? Okay, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
Do something different.
But I mean, like, that's unfortunately, like, the sad truth of it is that sometimes that's like what has to happen. Like, like that's the rude awakening that needs to ripple through the community, and hopefully it's an isolated incident and it doesn't.
I mean,
but you know what I mean? Like, hopefully it doesn't cascade into more.
I don't think that it will.
But like the potential,
yeah,
that's what you don't want to see. Is it?
Well, this is the second, the third one in 3 years, and the first two felt unavoidable.
Yeah.
One, they just started living like it was a trap house, and the landlord said, "Yeah, I'm good.
Right.
I'm going to sell the house because, it was, the property values, that house is like right up against Maple Bluff on Sherman. So like it was worth way more than she was getting out of, the addicts living in the house.
Right.
And, fine. And then the other one, dude just decided to smoke crack and drain the entire bank account. And, that landlord was like, well, if you can get somebody in here who can do well, then that's great. We'll go month to month. And somebody moved in, a good friend of mine, and he did really well there. But he had to move on with his life. And, the landlord was like, well, unless he's there, living there, I'm just not going to take the risk again.
Yeah.
So we got to keep that house for like another year, but, he's still like, And then this landlord, he's part of the recovery community. He has heard all the same rumors everybody else has.
Yep.
He is damn well aware of what's going on there, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't blame him in the least bit.
Right.
You know, and he's indicated that maybe we have a conversation about turning it into a women's house or something. But I mean, I'm not gonna put any eggs in that basket.
Well, and
Like where it is now, he's gonna terminate the lease in April, and they're gonna be on the street, and
Right.
they did it to themselves.
yeah. Yeah, and
I'm sad to see the house go. I could give a flying what
Right.
happens to them.
right. Yeah, it's unfortunate that that you lose the house is the bottom line.
It is,
But
but the house can be replaced.
yeah, and you hope. But
I mean, there's people interested, but you know,
But like at the end of the day, like what needs to happen, and this is what Caroline and I talked about, is the entire recovery community. We can be doing more to show that recovery actually is more than just we're not using drugs.
right.
We're becoming better people. We're reintegrating as quality, productive members of society that
I
are
mean,
actively contributing
People
to
with years in recovery tend to be, I mean, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but tend to be better people than people who've just been living their lives their whole lives because we've done more work on ourselves.
assuming that they're doing the work on themselves and not just
Well, we all talked about judgment last night, and here I am judging.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though, like
I do. Yeah, 100%.
because I know a lot of people who just haven't used and still exhibit a lot of that addict behavior and
members of the
addict
house,
thinking,
yeah.
and that does the opposite, and so like just because somebody's not drinking a handle every day or smoking crack or whatever every day doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden a good person and a productive member of society. They might still be,
There's one person in particular that I keep telling that to.
but like that's the whole thing is like
Quitting isn't enough. I had that conversation actually with somebody I haven't seen since I lived in Grand Rapids or even talked to. But Facebook has decided that we need to be in each other's algorithm a little more. And he sent me a DM and was like, "Oh, hey man, by the way, like good job on getting clean," and some other stuff. And I told him, I'm like, if I hadn't done the work, like, there's no way to stay clean this long without doing work. If you don't, then you hate yourself or whatever. Like, I can't imagine being sober this long without having fixed the things that made me feel the need to drink
right,
or do whatever into
Right.
oblivion every single day of my life.
right,
Do you know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, so much that. And I'm, I do. I see a lot of people from my past life who are trying to do something different. And, I guess that's my biggest piece of advice is you gotta do the inner work.
yeah,
And when the inner work isn't enough anymore, that's when you start doing service work.
yeah,
And that's exactly what it is. Because once you've got yourself fixed enough that you're not being gnawed at every day by your own problems, like there's still an emptiness there. And I
Yeah.
think that's why they recommend, service work is because, it's not enough to fix yourself. Like as a species, if we're not helping each other, we're left very unfulfilled.
Well, and as soon as we start doing a little bit of work on ourselves, we start to realize how much damage we did, and how much hurt we caused and all of that. And we can start to repair that a little bit, and we can start to have those living amends, for the people that we can't make direct amends to for whatever reason. We can start to put some good back out there and start to repair that karma a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe.
But, you know, like, in some way, you know, feel a little bit better about not just taking.
Yeah.
You know, we're able to give and put something back out there and contribute. And, you know, even the scales a little bit. So, you know, I think there's a lot to that. And, you know, it really does go a long way, you know?
It sure does.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the timer, and I think that if people have made it this far, then you should probably go ahead and drop a like.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Mm-hmm.
If you are listening to the audio version of the podcast, we would love for you to leave a review so you can get us in front of more ears, because the more ears, the merrier, so I'm told.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 at a time, 1 at a time, whatever. However you consume.
Almost said something very off color there. Good for me for not doing it. Restraint, baby.
Yeah.
Restraint.
Yeah.
You know, comment down below, you know, something that you're doing for service work, or, you know, something, you know, funny that you've done in front of a judge, or, you know, a situation where a lawyer saved your ass. Mm-hmm. You know, like any, you know, any comment is welcome. Tell me how cool my new hat is, or how great Brett's shirt is. Man, just, you know, let us know what you're thinking out there. We'd really appreciate it. You know, those of you listening on the audio version can't see how cool my hat is or how cool Brett's shirt is, but I assure you, they are. Anyway, love you guys. You're welcome.